Awesome. Welcome back from small groups, everybody, and back to the live stream. So I will first talk about how those things that you just created in small groups, because you created them on paper, how that's coming to us. It's going to come back to us. It's going to be put on a board. And then you are going to actually be able to look at that board tomorrow digitally. And then that will be back with you on July 2nd as well. But we need to get those things from you. And this may seem like more of a process for those of you who are digitally inclined than was necessary, but we want to make it accessible to everyone sort of at the same level. So we've had you write them on paper, and that'll be better for getting them actually up on the board as well, be in everyone's handwriting. So what we'd like to ask you to do is to, if you have the ability, if you have a smartphone, to take a picture of the pages that you've done and text them or email them to Phil, and we'll get that his number and email up on screen in just a second. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, doing that, or don't know how to do that, you can also bring them to the community center today if you were planning to stop by, if you have fare tickets to pick up, or if you'd just like to bring them in person. If that's simpler, you can definitely just bring them, stop by and bring them to us. Or if neither of those work, then just stick on the call a little bit after and we can get them from you another way. And I see a question from someone here. Who is that? Maybe
from Jasmine.
Go for it.
Yeah, my question was, if we want to send it electronically, do you want us to take a picture of each one individually? So we send like 8 pictures, or do you want one big fat picture?
Separate pictures will be great because that'll make the resolution better. We're just going to take those pictures and print them out and have them in the room.
Okay.
Or can we type them up and just email the like separate screenshots?
You could, as an alternative, type them up. Yes.
I don't have enough paper.
Fair enough. Tina, I see your hand.
Yeah. How late can we bring, if we wanted to bring by in person our papers, how late, up until what time today?
5 o'clock.
Oh, okay,
great. Alex.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. And maybe Alex, if you want to take the next section, I'll get that phone number and email up on screen here in just a second.
Yes, happy to. Okay, so I hope there are plenty of options for getting us those written materials. I guess I will just stress that we'll be working with everybody's ideas tomorrow, and it's going to be really helpful to see everybody's ideas on the same wall. We've got a really fun, if you come in person, you'll see our big sticky wall that we haven't gotten to use yet in the process, where you can stick your papers up. So just an encouragement, please, in whatever way is easiest for you, get us your sheets today. And all right, in our last few minutes here, we are going to pivot to a slightly different topic. Tomorrow, you'll have the opportunity to meet for the first time in your subcommittees. So this is something we teased early on in the process. We mentioned the names of those 4 subcommittees. And this is kind of an opportunity to do a little bit more specific work together, kind of staff your own process. And be in a group that you choose rather than be, sorted into randomized groups all the time. So you'll get to work with these people throughout the rest of the process. And you all received a list of the subcommittees and what each one is responsible for. I'm also just finding that to pull up on screen. I'm going to do a little bit of review of what each of their roles are in the process. And then you're going to have the opportunity to tell us your top 3 ranked preferences for which subcommittee you'd like to be a part of. We'll sort out those groups and then you'll get to meet with your group tomorrow. Let me share my screen. Okay, So just a real brief review here, and hopefully you've had a moment to look this over in written form. We have 4 groups. The Public Outreach Committee, their job is to help tell the story of the panel. Experiences on the panel. You'll be working with our Director of Outreach and Communications, Casey, who's wonderful. She'll be your kind of technical advisor. There'll be a Policy Impact Committee, which is responsible for helping follow up on the panel's recommendations, really engage in ways that might increase the impact and leverage of the panel's final reports. The Process Committee will get to make some decisions about what your process looks like for the rest of our time together. And you'll be working closely with myself and Lynn. And then the Evaluation Committee will get to work with our research team, or really, use them as advisors. All of these, myself and Lynn, Casey, we're just advisors, but you are holding the work as the panel. Evaluation Committee will get to work with researchers to kind of evaluate the process and give us recommendations for how we could improve, and kind of see those aggregate results from the surveys, anonymized from your fellow panelists. So these are all, I think, really fun, exciting tasks and areas of the process to be involved with. We hope you agree. And the ask, and I see there are a couple hands up, but I'll just allow folks to start putting in the chat your ranked order. So your first preference, the subcommittee you'd most like to be in, your second preference, and third. And then we'll do our very best to sort people into groups that they'd most like to be in. Yeah, Lynn, do you have something to add?
I do. If I could just add something really fast. I just wanted to clarify that, for example, if you're on the Public Outreach Committee, that doesn't necessarily mean that committee is the only ones who are sort of speaking about their experience on the panel. Or if you're on the Impact Committee, that doesn't mean that committee is solely responsible for sort of representing the panel's recommendations. The purpose of these committees is to—
and we had a request to slow down. Sorry, while I was speaking, Lynn, so it's probably still relevant. Sure.
All right, so let's see, what was I saying? That I got distracted with the chat. Phil requests to not email, but text if you can, text those pictures. Oh, right. So don't want folks to think that these are the only committees that are, for example, particularly the Policy Impact Committee. You all are going to be very much engaged with following your recommendations in July, August, September, October. That committee is responsible for putting together some of the strategy of how, who you're talking to at what time and that kind of thing. Likewise, the Process Committee, obviously you all are involved in the process, but there are a few sort of key decisions that committee is going to have to make in terms of how we allocate time, how time is used, the rest of your process time in July, August, September. Oh, I did those. Yeah, that's right. And the Evaluation Committee, anyway, all of these committees, the idea is to sort of create some essentially place for you all to be staff members within the process, essentially, and make some of the decisions within the process. And you'll note the Evaluation Committee there. Just to mention something about that, one of the researchers, I think, has a sort of special project to work on potentially with that committee. There's also the potential to make recommendations about public engagement, given your experience here. So those are some of the kind of things. And that's true with all the committees. There's a lot, they're very open-ended. I know Casey has a bunch of ideas of potential outreach things to put before that committee that you could choose to work on in terms of telling the panel's process. And just as one more note about sort of why we do this, our philosophy in general is that we really want as much power as possible to reside with with you all, with the panel. So this is our way to sort of create little boards of directors kind of within the panel to instruct us how to represent you, for example, or how the process should be. And maybe let's go to questions then. I see Jared in the Q&A. And Jared's put his hand down. And I realize I just said that wrong. We will never represent you. The whole point here is for you to represent yourselves, whether it's about the process. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
I found the pages. It was after the Brian Sorbo.
Okay,
pages
super.
in the handout. So it was just, took me a minute to find it. That's all my question was.
Super, sounds good. Patty D.
I'm sorry, where is this information? Is it what we got yesterday or is it in our binder, the subcommittee, the list?
Alex, I don't know if you can help with that.
It's what we got yesterday.
It's what we got
it was handed out for this weekend.
Okay.
I think
I'll find it.
For most people, it was probably between the handouts, like the example reports and the slides. But yeah, it might have, depending on how you went down the table, it might have gotten shuffled in a different order.
I wonder if just in case.
Just share my screen again.
Okay, awesome. That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, let me do that.
Super. I see Trisha, you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question that I have a comment. My question is, we've been asking for certain documents, and I think earlier you said that you were going to send a link out for that.
Yes,
so that
thank you.
Review those things. And then my comment would be, while we were in our group activity, humanizing was brought up, and I think that's just really important to share with the whole entire group, is to remember that we are dealing with a lot of decisions and ideas and a lot of broad spectrum things. But at the end of the day, we have 12 tenants on the property that have their livelihood in our hands, for lack of better terms. And so I think it's just really important to remember that.
All right, and I'll get those documents in that link in chat. Thanks so much for that reminder. Let's see, Tina, I see your hand.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'm seeing that we do put our choices in the chat of these committees. Right?
Right, that's right.
Thank you. That was my question. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I saw Eric G with their hand up.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Are we writing down our top 3 choices?
Yeah, top 3 choices, 1, 2, and 3 in the chat, if you would. And we'll try to give folks, ideally everybody their top choice, but probably not. If we have to make decisions, you know what we do. We'll be randomizing. And oh, sorry, I've just put a link in the chat to the folder where those documents that we're collecting are. As I think some of you know, some of those documents are not available.
So I want to put 3 of my.
Okay.
So where do I go?
Oh,
okay, so just tap right here.
Let's see. Casey, maybe you could help mute.
Sorry, we're just gonna.
No worries. Awesome.
And sorry to be flip-flopping between tasks right now, but I do want to make sure that everyone has the option to email their handout, their principles and options. So feel free to use the info@ account. Really, if you email any of us, it will get to the right place. We'll make sure to find it tonight. Text shouldn't be your only option, because I know some folks were typing their content up. So yeah.
Thanks.
And
is there an end of the day survey that we have to do too?
There is not today. Okay. We're going to sort of treat today and tomorrow as a single day. So you'll do it tomorrow, and thankfully, that means there's not another thing to do. We know there's this thing to do here at the end of the day.
Yeah. So yeah, it is 12:02. Just to recap the final two things that we're asking you to do before leaving with us today. But once you've done that, you're free to go. One is to get us your principals handouts or sheets and options sheets, either physical copies or digital copies. And the second thing to do is to put in chat your ranked preferences for which subcommittee you'd like to be a part of. And once you've done those two things, no need to fill out a survey today. And we'll see you back tomorrow morning at 8:45. Do any of my any other Healthy Democracy folks have things to add?
I'm just going to paste Phil's number and also that email address in chat here. I just saw a request for that again, so that's appearing here.
Oh, thank you.
And maybe can you stop screen sharing? And I've got that ready
Sure.
to screen share, so I can put that up on screen here.
Yeah, great. Great, thank you.
Yep, for sure, for sure. Just a second.